I just came across a really cool package that adds a small but awesome detail to your sites that I didn't even know I wanted until now. Web Haptics does exactly what it says on the tin, and it allows your websites to utilize haptic feedback, whether that's on Android or iOS, and it just makes them feel more like a native app, and it does so in a really clean and simple way. I mean, it is literally just one function. And it turns out I'm not the only one that thinks this is really cool. It's been trending all over on Twitter. Apparently Polymarket has already implemented this package. So let's just dive in and see what all of this buzz is about, and also talk a bit about how it works, as the package actually has a very cool trick to get it working on iOS. Now, obviously it's quite hard for me to show you exactly what this package does, as it is a physical vibration of your phone, but it's the exact same kind that you get when you click subscribe in the YouTube app. But if you are already subscribed and you still want to test this out, the Web Haptics website is a super fun place to do so. So after you've watched the video, I highly recommend checking it out, as it shows you some of the common haptics like success and error, and obviously haptics when you click on a button. It also has a super cool editor to build out your own haptic patterns that we'll come back to in a bit. For now though, let's get coding, and as you can see, it is a very simple NPM package, and it even has helpers for React, Vue, and Svelte. But obviously you can still use the vanilla JavaScript variant if you want, and this trigger function is going to be the same across all of them. In my case, I'll be using React, and you can see the code is incredibly simple. All we need to do is use the hook use web haptics, and out of this we get a trigger function, which we can then link up to something like a button to trigger some haptic feedback. You can also see out of this hook we get a cancel function, which is going to cancel any running haptic feedback, and also an is supported boolean, so you can check if the browser supports haptic feedback. With this simple code then, it will mean that when I click on this button on an Android or iOS device, it will have a small vibration. But obviously I'm on a laptop at the moment, so it's not going to do anything. There is one small way that we can know this is working though while we're developing it, and that is setting debug to true inside of the hook here. This just means that when I click on the button, it's going to play a noise that simulates what the haptic feedback is. When it comes to actually customizing the vibration pattern, that is also super simple, and we can do that in the trigger function. The first method is by using some presets that the package actually comes with, so you can import default patterns, and on here you'll find some presets like buzz, error, heavy, and loads more. You can actually get a feel for what these are like on the website as well. The next method though is when you want a completely custom vibration pattern. All you need to do is provide an array to the trigger function, and in here define your vibrations. At the moment I have 4 vibrations in this pattern. You can see you can define a vibration with an object where we have a delay, which is going to be the delay from the last vibration in milliseconds. Then we have a duration in milliseconds for how long that vibration will last. Then also an intensity value where 1 is the strongest vibration. With this pattern that I've got here, when I click on the button, you can hear what it will sound like. But obviously imagine that will be vibrating on the user's phone. A good trick to actually creating custom vibration patterns is to use their website, as they have a really nice editor here where you can click to add in a new vibration to the array. You can drag to change its duration, drag up and down to change its intensity, then also click play here to hear what it sounds like. But you can also use this on a phone, so you can actually get a feel for what it feels like. As I said, it's a little hard to show this one off in a video, but hopefully you do get the idea. It's a pretty simple package. What I do want to show you now is how this works, as iOS did not make this easy. The first thing to know is there is actually an API that should expose the vibration function of your phone by simply doing navigator.vibrate. The trouble is though, this works great on Android, but iOS has absolutely zero support for it. Luckily though, there is another way to get haptic feedback on iOS, and that is to use an input that has the type of switch. When the user clicks this on iOS, it has haptic feedback. What this library does to take advantage of that is when we trigger our haptic feedback, it essentially clicks an invisible switch for us that mimics our vibration pattern. And we see that down here with this checkbox, where when I trigger the haptic feedback, it toggles on and off multiple times, as that would be the switch on iOS. If you want to see this switch yourself while you're debugging your application, all you need to do in the hook here is add in the settings show switch and toggle it to true. If we quickly take a look at the code of the package itself, you can see what it's doing. If web haptics are supported, so the navigator.vibrate function is simply going to use that to play our vibration pattern. However, if they're not supported, down here it's going to be clicking on that switch. And then we also have this function here, which is responsible for actually creating the vibration pattern, where it clicks on that switch multiple times, as we can see down here. I just thought that was a really neat workaround that was worth showing, and I hope Apple don't find a way to patch this, or at least if they do patch it, they add support for the vibrate function. That's pretty much all there is to this package, so let me know in the comments down below if this is something that you'd use. While you're down there, subscribe, and as always, see you in the next one.